Well, I feel finished. That's the sermon. She did it. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your voice. It just, it's a lot, right? Peace today. That's the message. Peace today. So, yeah, you'll notice that peace is still my practice is the same title as I did last week because I realized I have more to say, right? There's more to say. There's always more to say about this topic. And I thank you, Terry. Where are you, Terry Olson, for that great review because I'm going to do it again. I know. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty and authenticity around that. Right? Because that's what it takes to be aware of what are we holding. So last week I came into this and I shared with you guys that dream I had. Will y'all remember that? The chicken fried alligator? I know. That's what I had. I know, Heather, you weren't here. Yeah. Yeah, you weren't here. But I told y'all it was this complete chicken fried alligator and why it's this animal of prey. I just felt sad about it. I felt sad. And then I shared it with Thomas and Theo, who helped me make sense of it. And one of the things that Thomas said is the key about dreams is how were you feeling? How were you feeling in the dream? And I shared with you guys, I felt sad. I felt sad for a chicken fried alligator. How could you not? This entire creature, right? I felt sad. He looked pitiful. A creature that's supposed to be strong, right? And hold its power. And then I recognized how I'm really feeling. How I'm feeling about the moment we're in right now. This moment of divisiveness, right? Do y'all feel that? Does anyone, or am I the only one that feels that, right? And I saw there was an article I wanted to read in the Atlantic Monthly. Fortunately, I couldn't read it because it's not coming out till September, which is aggravating. I tried to read it this morning. And unfortunately, the title is basically, we are only going to see more political divisiveness, upheaval, and violence. That's in an Atlantic Monthly article that's coming out in September, that we're going to see more. So what's the choice here? Right? To add to the divisiveness, to add to the hate-mongering, to add to the criticism. It's so easy, isn't it? And it feels so good, doesn't it? Like Terry says, it feels good to be right, doesn't it? It feels good to be right. But then again, think about where it takes you, to blame, to criticism, to judgment, to violence. And so what I want to talk about this morning is I want to add to what I said and what we talked about last week is how do we achieve inner peace? And we talked about how to do inner peace. But now the thing is when we've achieved that, and I'm going to be so audacious to say that we've mastered it, right? Let's just raise our hands. I've mastered it. Right? Why not? Let's be audacious. I see Jan Kucher back there being audacious. I've mastered it. Because here's the thing. Yes, it's a practice. We can say we've mastered it, and we've mastered practicing. How about that? How does it feel? I've mastered the practice. That feels good, right? I've mastered the practice. I keep going back to the practice. Because the thing about inhabiting and embodying the practice is it has ripple effect, right? That's the thing. When you choose it, you're choosing it not just for yourself, but for the world around you. And so that means that what you're choosing is nonviolence over violence. Nonviolence, right? You're choosing to be the bridge. You're choosing to be the one that's going to connect with others. You're choosing to create the beloved community. That's what we are right here, right? The beloved community. So let me review what we talked about last week. You did a great job, but I feel like I have to add to it. Perhaps, maybe. Practice awareness around the thoughts you are holding in mind. So the first step is just awareness. Just awareness what you're holding. Awareness with whatever it is. And as you practice awareness, be aware of whatever lack and limitation you're holding, especially about yourself, right? Because here's the thing. If you are holding that, what the thing is perhaps, and you're not aware of it, you'll project it onto others, right? So that's where step 2 comes in, acceptance. Accept whatever it is about yourself. I shared with you guys that I'm stubborn, right? And I've accepted it. And it helps me to accept it because then I can say, oh yeah, this is when I'm being really stubborn. And is it useful for me in this moment or is it not useful for me in this moment? But really be an acceptance of where you stand at that moment because then you're not going to project it onto other people, right? Or how about this? When other people come to you and perhaps they're being disagreeable, which I don't know if that happens to you guys, but right? Sometimes Thomas comes to me and he's disagreeable. I know. Sorry. More often it's me. But anyway, when he comes and he is disagreeable, if I'm just holding that peace, right? And if I've met my disagreeable self, I can be more patient and I can say to myself, oh, I'm also the one that at times is disagreeable, right? I also do this. So it's much easier. So then the next one is affirmation, right? Affirmation. I shared with you guys some of my favorite affirmation that I've used is one of Jesus' affirmation, peace I live with you, my peace I give unto you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. And it's one of those that like when I'm really not feeling it, I remind myself, wait a minute, I need to accept it, right? I need to open up. I need to accept it. That is what the elder brother, the master teacher, is giving me, and it's already within me, so I need to accept it. So those are the first 3 steps, right, that y'all are practicing and that you'll continue to practice, that you've mastered, that we're always working on, right? The last one that I say often is peace, be still. Remember when Jesus is calming the storm, peace, be still. That especially helps when I have a tempest in a teapot, which is my mind, which is sometimes more often than I'd like to share. So peace be still. So the affirmation we used last week was, I am infinite presence expressing peace. Do y'all remember that? So now that we want to say that we are the ripple effect and we are the peace for everyone, for all that is, always, everywhere. We're really audacious, aren't we? We're going to say we are. How about that? We are infinite peace. We are infinite peace because we do it together, right? It's a joint effort. So that takes me to my vacation. That takes me to my vacation. It takes me to that commitment to community, that commitment to connection. And I think I shared, some of y'all know that I shared this with you guys. We went to Spain, and it was a country I lived in 35 years ago. I know. How? Y'all probably are like, what? There's no way you're that old. Yeah, I am. I am. It's shocking. 35 years ago. Anyway, I won't get stuck there because I really can. I went to study at the University of Sevilla, and I studied contemporary film, and I studied literature. And at the time, the discussion, especially in our film class, was we were looking at contemporary film and looking how the theme of the Spanish Civil War and the dictator Franco was a recurring theme in film. That's what we looked at. So this was in the 90s, right? So we go back this summer, and we had many tours and many tour guides, and they would talk about the long history of Spain, which, if you know, it has a very long history, and continually they talked about the Spanish Civil War and the dictator Franco. And I think to myself, wait a minute, 35 years ago they were talking about this. Here it is 2024, and they're still talking about the Spanish Civil War and a dictatorship Franco. Why do you think? Thank you. Who said that? They don't want to forget, right? Just breathe that in. They want to remember that they were once a broken, a divided nation. They want to always remember. That's big, right? Want to remember. We were broken. We were divided. And when you're divided as a nation, what are you as a people? You're broken. So it was a lot of years. Franco was no longer a dictator in the 70s. 75, I believe, is the year. 75. And when I was there 35 years ago, people, they called them franquistas, would still come together and worship Franco. That was in the 90s. That was 20 years later. You still had people upholding a dictator that bombed a city, its own people. Guernica, which I didn't bring the painting. But anyway, so they don't want to forget. They want to remember. And you could see one of our tour guides completely embodied that. And what she embodied was this desire for connection, making sure people were connected with one another, creating community. And even us who were foreigners, right? She was very careful about how she connected with us and how she connected us to her history, to her nation, to her culture. It was really beautiful. And she told us stories, many stories. We were with her for 13 hours. It was a long tour. We went to the Pyrenees, so through a little village in France and through Andorra, which is a small country that I never knew existed until I went. I know, it's very true. So anyway, one of the stories she told is as a tour guide, she lost her job during the pandemic, obviously, right? She couldn't be with people. And so she said that she went to her mother's village and she got this job. She wasn't clear what the job was, but she said one of the things she would do is she would go to the village during market day. Now, market day in the village was held once a week, and I think it was like a Tuesday. And everybody in the village goes to market day, and they get their groceries. And she said part of her job was to make sure everyone in the community was there. Isn't that beautiful? That everyone showed up. She's like, and those that didn't show up, guess what she would do? She would call them. She would check in on them. And she'd find out, oh, this one is sick. They couldn't get their groceries. Let me make sure they have groceries. And they need soup, so let me take them soup. That's beautiful, isn't it? That commitment to connection, that commitment to community. And as I reflect on that, I know that's what we do here. I see you guys. I see those of you who sit next to those who need care and companionship. I see you. I see those of you who take others to go get groceries or take others to go do life errands, right? That's what we do. That's what connection is. That's what community is. It's a beautiful thing. It's that soft place to land. It's that place of, I'm here to be here for you. I'm here to listen to you. I'm that soft place. And it's okay if you're being disagreeable as long as you're not offending me, right? That's something else. But teasing now. But I'm here to listen. I'm here to be that for you. I'm here to embrace you and what you're saying. I'm here giving you my patience because that's what you need right now. So it was a beautiful lesson. It was a beautiful lesson to see. So the soft place to land, right? Jesus, I think, would have called it the kingdom of heaven. That's what he would have called it, the soft, safe place to land, the beloved community, the kingdom of heaven. And so he taught in parables, right? And he used simple, common language to illustrate something more profound. So I want to share with you guys two parables. One is the one about the mustard seed and the other is yeast. He used these simple, right, a mustard seed, little bitty mustard seed, or the yeast that you put in bread so that it will what does it do? It expands. Rise. Thank you, Chris. She makes bread. So that it'll rise and you can have an edible piece of bread, right? You can break bread with one another. So he uses that to talk about the kingdom of heaven. So let's see what he says. This is in Matthew 13, which, by the way, get the app. It's in the app. Get the app. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, Yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches. And then right after that one, he says, the kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough. Again, this is Matthew 13:31 through 33. So when we hear the parables, it's so easy to focus on the mustard seed and the yeast, right? So easy to focus on that. But what's the other part of that? The man took the seed and planted the seed, right? The woman took the yeast. It's, I guess what Charles understands is what the proper formative vehicle. It takes us, right? It takes us. And we don't necessarily know the consequences something so small is going to have, right? But it's going to ripple out. Look what it does. The seed, what does it do? Creates the tree so the birds can come. That goes back to peace, right? When I hold my inner peace, I'm creating a place of peace, the soft safe space for people to come and land and be there for that. The bread, so that we can break bread together, right? That's what that means. We are the ones. The seed and the yeast carry the future within them, but that future isn't possible if we don't come and do that, if we don't come and plant the seed. These small acts are the way of the kingdom of heaven. The small acts. One of us does something small and we will create a hospitable space where everyone is welcome. We are the ones. We must choose that. Let's just breathe that in. We must choose that, right? So it's a small act of restraining from judgment, right? Of blame, of criticism. It's the small act. It's a small act of saying, I'm going to hold peace. Coming back to the place we are in this nation, when you watch the news, I know we have someone here, Alva, who watches the news and says, may you have peace, my brother. May you have peace, my sister. And so we're 4 months away from the elections, and we're continuing to see divisive language, and we can say, I'm going to add peace to this. I'm going to add peace to this. I'm going to choose to be peace in this. That's big, right? That's big. So how about this? The kingdom of heaven is like you and me embracing arms with one another and always with the one. It is holding up the highest possibilities amidst the fury and the fear. It is carrying hope and living with grace, even when any one of us feels lost and broken and tired. Perhaps another way of saying it, the kingdom of heaven is like you and me sowing seeds of love and justice and joy. It is a soft space in the hospitable place where everyone feels seen, heard, and loved, no matter who they are or what they believe. The kingdom of heaven is choosing to live in this eternal moment of now, the divine realm where all things are possible and all things are peaceable when we choose to imagine it, create it, and be it. Amen. Thank you. I love y'all. I support you. I encourage you.